back to the show. Feels like a long time. Probably because it's been like over a month? Good thing that's what I said at the end of the last video. But that's another story and shall be told another time. Like 2 months. Don't believe anything else that you saw or heard. It's all just alternative facts. Video is act. You know, when I started on this journey to review this trilogy, I really had no idea what I was in for when I came to this one. I mean, the process of reviewing the first 2 movies was quite long. It was a lot longer than I had initially thought it would be, partially because there was a lot to cover with those 2 movies. Also, halfway through writing the review, I decided to just go ahead and read the book to make a more thorough review of the movies. But then you get to this one and it's like, oh, okay. Pretty much what you see is what you get, and trust me, I'm telling you right now, there's not much to see. Now, the first thing that sets this movie apart from the others is that this is a completely original story. It wasn't adapted from any book that I know of, hopefully, and you can easily tell this had nothing to do with the original story. I don't know if I made this clear enough in the last review, but I felt like the subject matter and the themes that were in the book were, in my opinion, pretty sophisticated for what I thought was a kid's book. At least that's the impression I had going into it. And by kid's book, I don't mean, what's that turtle? Like Franklin, Goodnight Moon, not that type of stuff. You know what I mean. I mean younger readers. And that's something that I really respected about the book in the first movie, was that they were willing to tackle these things. And like I said in the review, there's still very real issues. Also, I get the feeling that these days, grief, death, self-identity, existentialism aren't very common themes in kids' entertainment. So it was a long process. So long that if it was a book, it might be 450 pages. So you go from that to this, and this has really nothing to say at all. It actually makes the NeverEnding Story 2 look really good in comparison. And I'm not just saying that for comedic exaggeration, it really does. So let's get started with, of course, this gem of a poster. Now there's a lot going on here, but my first reaction when I saw this was just, what is that? That's supposed to be Falcor? Is that supposed to be Rockbiter? I also like how the poster tries to remind the public just who the actor is. Starring Jason James Richter, the star of Free Willy. Remember Free Willy? Yeah, he was in that, so see this. I remember Free Willy. I actually remember seeing that in the theater when it came out when I was a kid. And I also remember not being that impressed by it. I don't know. I felt like I kind of knew what was going to happen, probably because they kind of gave away the ending on the poster. And for some reason, there's something going on with his face here. It's like everything else looks like a photograph, but then you get to the face and it's like a drawing. Just look at the mouth. It's weird. This is a cartoon. Speaking of interesting art choices, I did find this alternate poster, and is it just me or does this look kind of awkward? Like, just look at the arm here. Is that not, does that not look like kind of an uncomfortable position? But of course, then there's the other one here where they just took him out of it completely. Also, they had a couple titles for this thing. This poster says Return to Fantasia, whereas this poster says Escape from Fantasia. So, come on, let's make up our minds. Are we coming or going here? So the movie starts off by talking about an evil force called the Nasty, which takes hold in kids when they stop reading and turn away from books. A sentiment which I honestly don't 100% agree with, because I knew plenty of kids growing up who read a lot, and they were jerks too. And now we see Bastian being chased by Jack Black and his gang of nasty friends. So Bastian hides in the school library, which is run by Carl Coriander, and I guess this is supposed to be Carl Coriander. And you know what? Let's just get this out of the way right now. Why don't we take a look at what's changed since the last movie? As you might recall from the last review, there is very little that stayed the same from the first to second movie, and believe it or not, there's even less here. Casting-wise, do I really have to say anything here? I think this speaks for itself. Now, with the childlike Empress, I thought she was supposed to be the childlike Empress. Child. Now, I can't remember if this was in the movies or not, but the book kind of explains that the childlike Empress is actually really old. I think she's older than everybody in Fantasia, but she has the appearance of a child, hence the childlike Empress. So even if you wanted to make the argument that maybe since this is Bastion's story, her appearance kind of changes to keep pace with Bastion's age and show a passage of time, well, that theory doesn't really work either, because they always appeared to be around the same age. And like here, Bastion looks like he's ready to start high school, and she looks like she's already graduated college a while ago. Does time move faster on Fantasia than it does on Earth or something? Is this some kind of like reverse Christopher Nolan type shit? The creatures from Fantasia look nothing like they did before. And not only that, but they act like completely different characters. Falkor has gone from being the wise voice of reason.
Don't go to him in anger. Go and warn him. He's your friend, isn't he?
To a bumbling idiot.
Wow! Something tells me I'm not in Fantasia anymore. Doesn't seem to be anybody else around up here. Hope I'm not the only flying creature in these parts. Oh, pardon me, ma'am. May I talk to you for a second? I'm a little lost.
So Bastion runs into Mr. Coriander in the school library. By the way, this school is in a different town since Bastion moved there when his dad got remarried.
Well, why so far from home? Not playing hooky from school, are we?
Yes, he's playing hooky from school in a different school in a different town. And didn't really think that one through, did you? I'm sure he woke up in the morning like, you know what, today I'm gonna skip school and spend the day in a different school. Yeah, that ought to show him. I don't play by anyone's rules. I'll learn wherever I damn well please.
The NeverEnding Story.
Hey, look, the NeverEnding Story. I totally recognize it because it looks nothing like it did before. What the f*** is this shit? It's not even close. Okay, so this is something I actually really hate. And not just with this movie. It's whenever this happens, when you're watching any type of movie or franchise or TV show, whatever, and they change the appearance of something, like an object, for example. And, you know, I've said this in the past, but casting changes, I can look past that to a certain degree, especially when they try and find someone who looks similar. But props, it's one thing if it had to change as part of the story or whatever, that's a completely different situation. But when it just changes for no reason, and it's like, oh yeah, there's that thing, and you're sitting there like, that's not that, no it's not. Maybe it's a situation where the production company didn't have the rights to use the original props, and, you know, in that case, just throw in a line of dialogue explaining the change. Anything, really. Just, hey, look, the NeverEnding Story. Oh yeah, changed the cover, kind of hoping you wouldn't recognize it. Then you wouldn't be tempted to borrow it again. And wow, just look at this scene. Sarah McLachlan poster, Kiss from a Rose by Seal playing on that yellow Walkman that everybody had, including myself. And is that a scrunchie? Like, is this scene trying to be the most 90s scene of all time? Seriously, the only thing that's missing is a Beanie Baby collection and the sound of a dial-up modem in the background.
You gotta meet him halfway. Why bother? You'll only get divorced again.
Nicole, this is gonna be different. I promise you.
Hey, just so you guys know, don't use the phone for the next couple hours. Okay, I'm on the net. I hear there might be porn on there somewhere. I don't know. I'm gonna try and find it.
Yeah, real cool.
Hey, I heard that. You too, you bitch. Bastian's new stepsister, Nicole, makes it clear that she's not his biggest fan, so what does he do? Starts telling her about Fantasia because, yeah, that won't make her think you're a total psychopath.
You are completely weird.
So, you two getting into trouble yet?
So Bastian decides to get back at Nicole by putting a lot of gel in his hair. Yeah, that'll show her. Act even more strange. I'm sure that will go over really well in a new school. And this brings us back to where the movie began, with Bastian hiding in the library. And as soon as Bastian checks to see if the coast is clear, one of the nasties appears and for some reason starts banging on the door that's closed. This door is open. You can see that he opened it. So instead of just going through the open door, you're just gonna stand there and keep banging on the door that's closed, giving him time to close and lock the other door. Jesus Christ. So Bastian hides and somehow gets transported to Fantasia. I'm still not exactly sure what the rules are in terms of coming and going from Fantasia. Bastian says that it's his story, so he gets to go whenever he wants, I guess. And it works. Jack Black and the NeverEnding Eyebrow are looking for Bastian when he spots the book on the floor and thinks to himself, well, that's weird. A book on the floor in a library. The Nasties realize that everything that's happening in the book is happening in real life, so they decide to mess things up for Fantasia by being nasty, as they say. Again, I don't really understand this. So by messing up things in the library, that somehow messes things up in Fantasia? What are the rules to this whole thing? I don't understand. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, they did say that the force of the nasty is caused by kids turning away from books and not reading, but isn't this kind of the opposite of that? I mean, they are reading the book. Then we have the sequence of Rockbiter going for a ride in his bike with his son while singing Born to Be Wild. And you've heard this a million times from me, but here we go again. I have no idea why this is in the movie. It adds nothing to the story. It does nothing for the movie. It lasts for a really long time. I have no idea why it's there. So the early 20s Empress shows up with Megamind to the ice castle or whatever and gives Bastian Orin. At least I think that's Orin. It looks nothing like Orin, but okay, let's just go with it. She gives him Orin so that he can wish himself back to the real world and get the book back from the Nasties. Bastian tries to wish himself back, but it doesn't work because, and I'm not making this up, he didn't wish hard enough. So Bastian and his friends all join together in order to make the wish harder, and somehow they all get caught in some sort of wish overload, which sends the other characters into the real world as well. Now here's where things, again, just get pretty dumb. Bastian wants to use Orin to wish the book away from the Nasties, but the Empress says he can't because since the Fantasians are caught in the real world, the new Fantasia won't include them. First of all, I just don't get this. Why would using a wish to get the book back erase the characters from Fantasia? I mean, the book is recording everything that's happening even outside of Fantasia anyways. And even if it does erase them from the book, then okay, fine, just wish them back into the story. Makes complete sense, doesn't it? Bastian thinks so.
It's my imagination. I'll just make sure they're in the new Fantasia.
And what does the Empress have to say to that?
No, Bastian. You must find them. Bring them all together and bring them back to Fantasia before you return the book to the Keeper.
Just no. No real reason as to why he can't do that. Just no, doesn't work like that. No, wrong. Careful, Bastian, you're making too much sense here, all right? Stop being such an asshole. I don't have a stronger argument, so just no. There's not a lot going on in this scene where Bastian's stepsister watches a music video, but it presents the idea that it's impossible for Nicole to enjoy anything, and that her mother may or may not hate black people. Bastian's dad goes upstairs to try and have a talk with him, but Bastian doesn't seem to be into it.
So there's nothing you want?
Wow, that's some great parenting right there. You're right, son. Everything does suck. He's finally starting to see the world for what it really is. Grew up so fast. Well, good night. So now Nicole goes into Bastian's room, probably to steal one of his Ace of Base CDs.
My mom and your dad think you have gone bonkers. They're talking about having you committed to a mental institution. Oh well. At least my mom will get her sewing room back.
But no, I guess not. She just felt like acting like a So now we get to see the Nasties in their hideout, which is just a hole in the wall of a parking garage. And I have a lot of questions about this. Do they live here? Is this just a place they hang out? How is this even possible in the first place? Obviously, they've been here for quite a long time. They've got a collection of shit in there. No one has noticed this giant hole in the wall. Oh, wait, I get it. They hide it behind a rolling dumpster. Well, that makes sense. Those things never move. Nicole steals Orin and uses it to go shopping at the mall. I guess at one point she made a wish for Blossom's hat. So the Nasties steal Orin, and I guess this causes everyone to just start acting nasty. Everybody just loses their mind suddenly. Then there's an explosion which knocks Bastian off his feet, even though Nicole seems to be completely unaffected by it, and she was only a couple feet away from him. Anyways, they stumble upon the parking garage hideout, and through just an incredibly stupid series of events, Bastian gets Orin back. So then Nicole starts reading the book and telling Bastian what to do, like what's gonna happen next.
Then went to practice. All those years of karate lessons.
Karate lessons!
I'm sorry, that's what it says.
Wait, so the book is now dictating what's about to happen? I don't understand. I thought it was the other way around. How does this work? Anyways, Bastian kicks everyone's ass, and that's pretty much the end of it. Everything goes back to normal. The Nasties are now model students for some reason. I guess Bastian made this happen somehow, because he had the book, so I guess he could just say, oh yeah, this is what happens next. Or maybe Jack Black just went home like, wow, I just got my ass kicked by the kid from Free Willy. I gotta make some changes.
Nicole, you know my girlfriend Marsha?
I do.
Sure you do.
Oh yeah, it's the chick with the terrible tattoo. Yeah, right. One of the things you'll notice about this movie is just how much it feels like one of those made-for-TV movies. Like, everything is just so soft. It's like visual margarine. I obviously had a lot of criticisms about the second movie, but one of the things it had going for it, as well as the first one, is that even though they were darker movies from a cinematography standpoint, they were still really nice looking films. There's some beautiful imagery here achieved through the use of shadows, contrast, and color, and that's maybe something I didn't give the second movie enough credit for because I do think it was well photographed. But with this, everything is just so flat. Even the scenes near the end where there's a lot more use of shadows and color, when compared to the other films, I feel it lacks that visual punch. And then there's the score, which is pretty much the same thing, just completely flat. It doesn't add any kind of suspense or emotion at all at any point in the film. Here's a scene from near the end of the movie where everything's falling apart. You know, you'd think the music would add some intensity, but just listen to this. And you know what, I'm gonna go back to the title on this thing, because this is ridiculous. Escape from Fantasia, Return to Fantasia, it doesn't matter. Both of those are complete bullshit. What it should be titled is The NeverEnding Story 3, 5 Minutes of Fantasia. Because that's all you're getting. So what's next? That seems to be the big question everybody likes to ask. Well, I'm actually going back to some newer movies for my next review. I have a few queued up that I want to watch, and I haven't seen them yet, so I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to do a review on these movies specifically. I won't know that until I start writing the review and decide whether or not I think it's funny. But I'm going to get on that right away. So as always, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. And of course, the jumping high five freeze frame, a classic ending. I'm actually not going to crap on that. I think it's like the only way you could have ended this movie at this point, unless everybody died. Now, the first thing that sets this movie apart from the others is that this What the hell is that? What's this? What's a... Ah, Costco. Love Costco. You go to Costco every time. I'm like, oh, I'll get like maybe let's get like a chicken, something quick. Then I end up spending like $150 there on just things that I need, but total excess of things that I need. Like I needed mustard, so I got mustard. These 2 giant containers of mustard. And now I'm gonna have mustard probably for the rest of my life. I'll run out of all my other food and still have a ton of mustard left. And then I'll probably have to resort to eating mustard for a meal. Maybe 2. But that's where I draw the line. Then I'll go shopping for more groceries.